defining things about that first time these two teams went up against each other was we really got to see what happens when you do blind pick it and how hard it can be countered by something like the Jax, and I don't expect Team Liquid to make such obvious draft mistakes this time around.
And it certainly wasn't just about the Yorick. Acadian was bullying Smithy in that game, pushing him off the scuttle, forcing him to smite camps, then challenging him at the next one. TSM was all over Smithy in that game and really did a great job at grabbing those advantages and extending them consistently to the point where Broken Blade was just unstoppable on that Jax.
All right, a lot of focus onto solo lanes here during these first 6 bans. Rek'Sai, the only non-solo lane ban. Ryze, Lissandra, Kinnan, Sylas, Jace, all removed from the pool.
Yep, and those are a couple of picks that we have seen Impact playing recently. You know, he has actually been running a lot of these different style plays. Oh, Broken Blade.
He's taunting him, trying to give him a little bit of a reminder here.
It's
both reminders.
He's like, yeah, this was the matchup. You remember.
Y'all want to talk about some mind games? Broken Blade's playing him here in the champ select, but they're going to go ahead and answer support with support. They're saying, all right, Core JJ is going to be on Tahm Kench. We'll put Smoothie on the Braum. Very powerful pick. We've seen Smoothie be a real playmaker and facilitator here in the bottom lane so far this split. Not surprised to see him on the Braum.
Yeah, not at all. Core JJ, though, certainly grabbing comfort for himself. That is his most played. He has been very, very good on the Tahm Kench. Not only just in his positioning, which has been pretty much immaculate. He's always at the right place at the right time to protect his carries. But the way he moves around the map and how effective he makes the Abyssal Voyage look really does speak a lot to how good Core JJ is. And it's going to be paired up alongside the Varus. A lot of laning power, honestly, with this Varus. Certainly, you don't want to get into any sort of all-in situation early on against the Lucian Braum, where they will have a lot of early power, but this is a lane that you can poke and you can actually kind of hold your own in those early stages. Varus certainly is not a pushover.
See Team Liquid hovering around a couple different options here, but they are ultimately going to go ahead and go for the Jarvan, leaving both solo lanes to that second half of the draft. We've already saw both teams' bans hit those pools pretty hard, and Liquid is okay with more of those bans coming in.
Also worth mentioning, this is the first Varus of the split here for Double Lift. He is bringing that out in the final game here against TSM. Talking about how he's always, in his mind fighting this shadow boxing with TSM. Knowing that they're going to be one of those opponents he really has to respect, and it is the Akali coming in, which could be for Bjergsen, could also be for Broken Blade top. We don't know yet.
Whoever it's for, TSM is saying, I hope that Tahm Kench is hungry, because if Double Lift is ever not in his belly, that Varus is dead.
Yeah, you gotta be really, really careful. Akali from ahead especially has incredible assassination potential. And we know that Broken Blade certainly had the edge in what is a carry versus carry matchup the first time around. Would not be shocked to see that going up to the top side, but Bjergsen also does have a really strong Akali, though he has not played it in this split. It's only Broken Blade with the one play so far in the spring split.
Well, when you talk about carry versus carry in the top lane, the two people you're comparing are a man literally known and defined by his very high-level tank play versus a guy named after Riven. There's one of these I expect to win a carry matchup.
That's true,
if both sides are a carry.
But Impact does have a world's winning Jax skin, so the man can play.
You got me with
himself.
The skin, with the bonk, bonk, bonk noise of hitting him with the trophy. But looking at the bans now as we're going through, it's more solo lane focus from TSM. There's nowhere else to look. They've already got the bottom lane and jungler locked in, so TSM's going to say, all right, no LeBlanc, no Gangplank. Team Liquid will target the jungle pool and keep Acadian away from that big team fighter in the Sejuani, and we'll see what they want to do for their final one here.
Jarvan, we are expecting to go to Smithy, but Impact also does have a play. They both have one play apiece so far this split on the champion, so certainly is some potential for it to go up there, as the only man disappointed when Skarner is banned out, casting alongside me today.
Come on, man. I'm sad they're banned.
Oh, no, Cinderella Skarner. Oh, nuts. Maybe we'll see something like Lee Sin and Zed. How boring.
This is unacceptable levels of play from someone who's supposed to be my friend. We are allies here, sir. The TSM locks in the Kindred, who will do a wonderful job of protecting her own.
Let's go. Yeah, Kindred certainly has been rising in priority. We've been seeing it pop up more and more. I've been of the opinion that this pick has been very strong ever since some of the marksman item rework. PD can be very strong for early dueling on this champion. You know, going Warrior PD, even Devourer, Bloodrazor rather, PD can be very, very strong here. And it is going to deny a lot of some of those kind of like one-shot potentials that dive in, try to just combo down someone. So, you know, if they are worried about a potential sort of all-in dive style composition when the Jarvan was shown, Kindred can be a decent answer to that. And Kindred can also stand up to most early matchups. If this is a jungle Jarvan, if you can actually queue it to the side and avoid the flag and drag, you can win those duels. So Kindred is no slouch early either and does give you more scaling in that late game too.
Looks like the jungle Jarvan is going to be the choice here. As the Vladimir locked in, along with the Orianna, means Vlad will be top. It'll be impact on that one, so we will see him on a carry champion this time around, and Jensen will be on the Ori.
Yeah, and it'll be the first Vladimir here for impact this split, so certainly, you know, stepping away from some of what we have seen. You'd love to see the assassin pick. I don't know that we're gonna get it here.
Audience, you gotta control yourselves now. This is very unlikely. I'm just letting y'all know. See? Now you set yourselves up for disappointment. I'm just trying to shield you from yourselves.
I hate to see it happen.
But TSM has this was the comp that we saw Cloud9 use to so much success with Blabber last year. The Kindred and Zilean combination. This is infuriating to play against because it is so difficult to actually make the kills come through.
Exactly, it's so tough. And one of the things that I always love being a Kindred player and playing with Zilean is not only do you have the second revive coming out of your ultimate, but Zilean has a very easy time to set up bombs. If the opposing team tries to run into that kind of nullifying zone in your ultimate, you can drop bombs right as that is expiring, hit the stun, guarantee that you will be bursting them down before they can get out of there.
Also worth noting, on the side of Team Liquid, there are no displacements other than the Orianna Shockwave to throw people out of Kindred's ultimate. So TSM will be able to really dig in their feet and take positioning on that Lamb's Respite.
A lot of that then comes down to, can you actually kill the Kindred off before you can get the ultimate down?
Right.
Or can you be in such a winning position that it's you setting up your Shockwave coming out of that ultimate, or it's you with Vladimir dropping his ultimate and timing his damage to land right after that too. It is going to be carry versus carry in the top lane. Last time it certainly was Broken Blade getting the better of Impact. You know Impact wants to prove that he can compete.
And you know Team Liquid wants to prove that this slump is not here to last for playoffs. The crowd roars to life. Team Liquid and TSM will take to Summoner's Rift for the second time here this split. Team Liquid looking to end their first place season on a high note. TSM looking to be the only team to finish this split with a winning record over Team Liquid.
Claiming that 2-0, securing yourself as such a threat going into playoffs. Certainly things that TSM is hungry for here, and TL do not want to end the season on a bad note.
And as everyone rushes out of the base for the level 1, we are going to check in with Avali, who's got a sideline report with Dodo.
Thanks, Flowers. Dodo, rough last couple of games for Team Liquid. What's really going on with the team right now, and how are they feeling coming into today's game?
There's nothing too much serious going on. I think we're still confident that we are a strong team. I mean, we've been trying out a lot of different picks, been focusing on different styles, but obviously we are still making mistakes. So we're focused on trying to get better still. I don't think we're perfect yet, but we're not too worried. We're still confident going into playoffs, and I hope we can show that today.
Dodo, thank you, and best of luck to you and the team. Back to you guys.
And certainly, even here today in this final game, 2 new picks coming out for them. The Vladimir top not shown this split. Varus not shown by Doublelift this split either. So even in this very important final match, they are, you know, experimenting somewhat, but they are picks that they have shown in the past, and this is a match that they certainly really want to win.
A couple things that I want to point out as we're waiting for these minions to spawn. Look at the keystones on 2 different champions. Doublelift with the lethal tempo means you aren't going to see poke Varus. This is going to be more of the auto attack base, like they're going to see crit on hit on this guy. And if you look over at Broken Blade, fleet footwork here for the Akali. As some stats come up on the side of your screen, you can see really, really promising numbers for both the Orianna of Jensen and the Zilean of Bjergsen. 75% and higher win rates for both. It's something higher than 75. I don't know what the math is. I'm not a calculator.
Never do math on broadcast. That's the rule.
It's a lot. Yeah, we don't do math on broadcast. We only say the stuff we know, and I know it's higher than 75. It's just one of those other numbers up there.
There you go.
But Team Liquid,
These are true statements, yes.
we've already said these guys have locked in first place for themselves going into the playoffs. They have secured the playoff bye. This is a team that has looked so far and away from everyone else so far over the course of this split to now be on this slump, losing to Echo Fox that nobody thought they would lose to, as well as also dropping these other games towards the end. A lot of people are surprised. And again, even though your playoff spot is not going to be impacted by whether or not you win or lose this game, you would love to end this one on a win, especially against one of the other favorite teams going into playoffs.
Yeah, you definitely do. And the expectations are just so high for this TL roster, given that they won back-to-back championships last year and then upgraded the roster. The expectations is that you win again, right? You know, Jensen came to TL to win. He has not won a championship in North America despite making the World Semifinals last year. He really wants that championship, and that was, I think, a big motivator for coming to TL.
Right. If this is a team that you know you can pop off with, this veteran roster with guys like Doublelift and Xmithy and Impact and Core JJ, who has a world championship of his own under his belt.
They got 2 world champions on TL's team.
You really want to see this team succeed, because the question is, if you can't succeed with this roster, well, how can you? This is stacked, and Team Liquid fans are expecting this team to pop off. They're expecting this team to finish nothing less than at the top.
And you've got to say that's been the expectation for TSM for so many years of the LCS. And last year, really the first time that they kind of failed to match up to those expectations. First time they missed out on the finals. First time, you know, that they didn't go to Worlds, right? These are big firsts for TSM. And now, back this year, seeing this team in form, it is such a resurgence for them. And so, I think, heartening for the TSM fans to see that they are competing again at that top. It is important for them to be winning those games and winning those championships, if not at least competing for them.
And not just for the fans, I mean, for the players too. You hold those expectations of yourself. When you're Bjergsen and you're going to the finals year after year after year after year, and then all of a sudden you don't go in back-to-back splits, that's got to light a fire under you to get back in there and take your spot.
I mean, and by the way, Doublelift now, after last year, tied Bjergsen for the most trophies in the league. These guys are both sitting on, I believe, 5 apiece. You would love to maintain that record if you are Bjergsen. This is a guy with a number of MVP titles who has been known for so long as the best player in the NALCS. And I feel like over the last year is the first time that we have really heard those conversations being challenged and people bringing up Doublelift's name more and more and saying, hey, what about Doublelift? He has won as many championships. He has now won an MVP. He has won on multiple different teams.
Jensen getting himself back there as Acadian wanted to show up in the mid lane, see if maybe he could help Bjergsen put a little bit of damage down, but Jensen getting himself away is just fine. Xmithy finding Acadian here in the top part of the river now, getting the EQ combo down, continuing the chase. Acadian wants to get away, Blast Cone's gonna be there and available. Xmithy will not go further past this one. Flash blown on both junglers. Acadian taken very low. You mentioned in Champions Select, if the Kindred can hop out of the way of that combo from the Jarvan, you can win the fight, but when he comes at you from the bush, there's no way to react.
Yeah, very, very difficult to be able to avoid that, if not impossible. And Acadian does get out with a trade of flashes, so not too bad for him. He will lose a little bit of priority for now, but certainly having that Blast Cone there was a blessing, as he's going to be able to get out safely.
Farm pretty even here all the way across the board. You can see minor CS discrepancies from lane to lane, but Impact and Broken Blade, these are 2 guys to keep your eyes on as the game goes on. We already talked about how Broken Blade was the better carry the first time they fought. His Jax absolutely smashed the Yorick from Impact, but both these champions are going to be able to do plenty as the game goes on, and now they're getting into the 1 versus 1 here. Level 6 for Impact before Broken Blade's able to get his. Broken Blade still stealthing around in that shroud, but not going to go after anything.
You are going to be a little bit vulnerable here, though, as Impact. He's pushing up. The wave is pushing towards Broken Blade. You are now down your ultimate.
Yeah.
And Broken Blade has his available. So you are being pushed into this vulnerable position. And despite the fact that Broken Blade played an incredible game last time on the Jax, it wasn't just about him. Acadian got involved. Acadian was really strong in helping him get that lead, too. Bullying Xmithy around. Smoothie even roaming up and forcing a flash. So it was a team effort that Broken Blade then made good on. And we'll see if Broken Blade can get that solo advantage here himself, as he would really love to continue to prove himself further against some of these veteran players.
I'm talking about Acadian. I want to do a little bit of housekeeping here. We always need to keep track of Kindred stacks as the game progresses, and right now Acadian is on that first stack. Generally, by the time you get around the 20-minute mark and you start seeing more like large-scale team fights, you want to see the Kindred have 4, so he has the bonus range and can be more effective. So as this game goes on, we'll track whether or not Acadian's able to make that happen, or whether Team Liquid can keep him off of those critical resources.
Yeah, and for for those who don't know, it just gives you a lot more range, right? So it's giving you up to essentially Varus range once you do hit that 4 mark. So it's a lot easier to actually have access to some of these big threats, right? You have that additional safety. You can actually trade autos with someone like a Varus instead of taking multiple autos perhaps before you're able to get involved. And it does allow you to be much more consistently powerful in those team fights.
Broken Blade finding quite a lot of damage down onto Impact there, notably not jumping back in with the E. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you're laning against Vlad and the red bar starts to fill up, stay away. Yeah, exactly. It's traffic light rules when you're playing against Vladimir. Red means stop. Do not go anywhere near this dude. As Smithy will hand off the blue buff over to Jensen here. Smithy doing a good job so far throughout this early game. The flash trade was really the only thing that we saw out of either jungler so far in terms of actual PvP. But for a guy who had a pretty rough game yesterday, this is what you want to see from Smithy, just something calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, this is something that I always think is really nice from a top laner. You have the push, so he utilizes that, and instead of trying to get a tiny little bit of poke on impact on the turret, he goes in, he drops a ward that is going to spot both blue as well as the Gromp, and he pops the blast cone. So it makes it a lot more difficult for Smithy to actually gank you. If you want to EQ over the wall, you're going to be straight onto a ward, and that's going to give you that advanced time to actually get away. So nice little move that will help to keep Broken Blade safe.
Yep, shooting those blast cones over the edge of the cliff when you're the red side top laner or the blue side bottom laner to stop the enemy jungle's path from being as effective is very important if you ever have the opportunity to take 10 seconds to clear him away, as Smithy has now made his way onto the Drake.
Yep, and he can do this because they actually spotted out these wards, right? They spotted out the Kindred on the ward. Impact will have to play pretty safe here. They're going to try to trade for some pressure. Impact, though, showing a lot of respect, backing off. And Acadian will be gifted this mark. It's on the Gromp. He's on that side of the map, so we'll be able to grab a second here, and we'll see if they want to try to go for a dive. Remember, they have Kindred ult.
This is Vladimir that you're diving, though. Hemoplague going to be dropped down there, goes into the pool, finds a lot of damage onto Acadian. Lamb's Respite comes out, but Impact cannot get in there in time. It's first blood over to TSM.
Very well played by the TSM duo there. Impact, his pool was not lasting long enough to be able to actually wait out the E, so you saw Broken Blade reactivate that, dive back in. Acadian's holding the turret aggro with his ultimate down. They execute a fantastic dive here. And this is really well done. Somewhat reminiscent of what happened last time that they did run into each other. So you can see that mark on Impact's head. That is telling you how long that shuriken flip is available for. Straight in, finishes off the kill, easily escapes. Very well executed, and that meant no TP was available for Impact, so he falls a lot further behind.
The only way he could have kept himself alive there was trying to flash into the Lamb's Respite.
Yeah.
That is a very high-risk play because there's still a very good chance that you die anyway, and then you're just down a summoner spell for that return gank from Acadian. So Impact ends up going down, and the CS discrepancy is just disgusting at this point in the top.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to feel so bad. Anytime you're getting dove on a stacked wave, you feel so terrible as a top laner because, you know, you're losing all of that CS and experience guaranteed, then you don't even have your TP. So another wave got pushed in, you lose that as well. You know, you're now gonna be walking back to lane against a Gunblade Akali who's gonna be essentially immune to a lot of your poke with all that healing. So certainly Impact is now in dire straits in this top lane. We'll see how he can hang on, but TSM punishes topside.
And I've mentioned this before, Vladimir often does like to go for the CDR Garage sale build where you buy the Fiendish Codex as well as the Kindle Gem. Make sure you're just stacking cooldowns early. All you need is 2 10% items with proper runes and masteries, and Vlad hits 45. But it does mean you're not hitting a first item power spike very soon. Bottom side, Core JJ in some trouble. Looking to binge that Kinch. Almost stacking up the Braum passive. There you go. The stun comes through. The damage goes out. TSM makes it a 2-for-0 game. Team Liquid getting themselves one on the backside now. As Smithy finds his way into the fight, but does not want to go for a Cataclysm on Desven. Summoner spell still available for the TSM AD carry.
Pretty good trade kill, though, for TL. In the 2v3, they do trade supports. And Doublelift still stays alive to be able to collect that farm. And on the top side, Broken Blade is looking to press his advantage, trying to bully this Vladimir. And goes Smithy, though.
Smithy trying to force the fight out onto Sven. Piercing arrow coming in from downtown from Doublelift, but will not find its way onto Sven. And that means no kill to be found.
Critically, though, they get the flash off of Lucian, so he's going to be that much more vulnerable. It is a plate that goes down to Bjergsen on the roam here from the Orianna. So here this is one more time, 3-man bot. Core JJ looking to ward, but does not see the TSM members coming through. Guardian as well as the Grey Health and a really well-timed stopwatch by a lot of time. He gets the Ignite out on Smoothie before he goes down, and Doublelift is able to get that finishing damage in so the Ignite can take him out. Pretty well played from TL, and its Impact being pushed back to base once more. He is now down 35 CS. It's going to be even worse. More plates falling as well. Impact falling extremely behind in this matchup.
And look at how healthy Broken Blade is. It's not like these fights are even close.
No.
Broken Blade, partially thanks to fleet footwork, partially thanks to just the fact that he's got the gun blade and he heals up off of every bit of damage he does, is not under any sort of threat.
Yeah, it's really a bad feeling when you fall behind these sort of sustained tank wars, right? You know, Vladimir and Akali are trying to hit this threshold where you're dealing so much damage that your opponent can no longer stay around to heal that up. And when one of these people who are both trying to do the same thing gets massively ahead, all of a sudden they have an enormous advantage because it's Vlad who can't even get access to the wave to heal up. Broken Blade has free reign here.
Vladimir is getting Vladimired. This
Yep.
is normally what other champions experience against him when he hits level 9. Now he is level 9, and Broken Blade is still fully in control here, constantly throwing out the 5-point strike to farm up the minions.
If we're coming up though, and there is no Shroud available.
Broken Blade getting himself out of any sort of danger. Acadian's also shadowing this, so if it does turn into a 2 versus 1, it'll quickly go 2v2 with buying some time there from the Shroud. Double Frog and lethal tempo in the bottom side, finding a couple auto attacks down onto Smoothie. Piercing Arrow grabs some bonus damage off the back end.
Yeah, it does get tough for Smithy because I feel like that's a pretty doomed 2v2 as well. When your Vladimir is pretty far behind and you're a tank Jarvan going up against Kindred who already has that completed item. You know, as long as they actually don't botch the usage of the Kindred ultimate, you can even save the Akali execute for after the Kindred ultimate expires and get a guaranteed kill there. So I definitely think TSM should have priority in that 2v2 top side, but they do still have to worry about the team fight from TL. J4 going in with a shockwave on the back of Orianna, and Jensen is one of the guys who is known for finding incredible shockwaves.
Broken Blade has now found his way onto Impact. Good pull there from Impact to dodge away from the E. Broken Blade still going to chase after this one, though. Doesn't have enough burst left in the kit, and Impact gets away.
I mean, look at how defensive Impact has to play that. He has to immediately drop the ultimate and try to proc his phase rush to just run straight back to the turret. There's no way he can actually stay around and fight against Broken Blade. So this means Acadian gets free reign to start up the Rift Herald. Impact goes back to base. You can see that Bjergsen is pushing in. Smithy is using this time to try to grab another dragon for them, but it does feel like TSM is getting more out of these topside advantages.
Now bottom side,
Here comes Zillion.
Team Liquid in some trouble. CoreJJ trying to get Doublelift out of trouble, but here comes the damage. Can they find him? The culling goes through. Doublelift gets himself away, but not quite yet. Bjergsen takes him out with a bomb, and CoreJJ will be number 2. Sven grabs that kill, and it's 2-0 TSM.
Doublelift was a couple seconds away from the heal being back up, just barely didn't have it. And Bjergsen, it looked like he predicted to flash with that bomb, throwing it where Doublelift would have to flash to try to escape. He catches him and knocks him down, and TSM starting to really take full control over this one.
With the leads they've got through the kills and the farm and the fact that they got the turret first blood, this team is now 3,000 gold ahead, and it's letting them make plays like these.
Yep, in they go. TSM getting very aggressive. Nice early chunk onto Doublelift, and now watch where Bjergsen throws the bomb. He waits and throws it to where Doublelift has to flash to try to get out. That is 100% the predictive bomb. Beautiful by Bjergsen, and Doublelift a second or two away from the heal might have got him out.
There's a reason this man has an entire fistful of championship rings in the LCS. He makes the plays when they matter. He comes in clutch and pulls things off, predicting exactly where Doublelift is going to move, giving him that first death, grabbing his own first kill. And Bjergsen has had some incredible performances on the Zillion before. This game looking like it might be yet another one of those, as Impact is just relegated to sitting back and watching Broken Blade farm.
Yeah, Broken Blade is working quickly towards that Morello Nomicon. I think a really smart buy against the Vladimir here. When you hit that 2-item power spike, maybe the ultimate healing isn't even enough to keep Impact alive and an all-in from full health. You know, that gets very, very dangerous. So we'll see where Impact wants to go with his build. It's already fairly defensive, grabbing an early Merc Treads, and he's going to be pushed very far back on that power curve. He's down 50 CS. You want that late game Vladimir, but it's feeling like a bit of a pipe dream at this point.
His 17 minutes build is a potion, a book, a Doran's item, 2 CDR garage sale pieces, and shoes. This is not a Vladimir that even has a single item fully completed. You see this guy TPing into a fight. Normally a Vladimir TP strikes terror into the hearts of men, and this one just makes you giggle a bit. The man's not going to have any impact for a very long time.
At the very least, he will still have the amp damage on his ultimate. You know, being able to try to combo with the AoE damage, I think is going to be one of the ways in for TL. You have Shockwave, Vladimir ultimate. You have a lot of AoE damage coming through from Bjergsen with the piercing arrow, if that can hit on multiple members. So they certainly are looking for something like that. But it's going to be a tough road. And TSM now taking their advantage from the top side of the map where they grab the Rift Herald straight into mid lane, looking for this turret.
Shelly summoned up, bombs thrown down to zone Team Liquid away, but Shelly will be killed before she's able to guarantee the turret being taken. Team Liquid hold the line there. Remember, they also do have the advantage in this game of having 2 out of 2 Elemental Drakes so far. That next one not spawning for about another 100 seconds, and we'll likely see TSM start to fight for those now that Rift Herald's not available anymore. There's not as much to fight for elsewhere on the map. And Doublelift will continue trying to farm up here in this bottom side. Blade of the Ruined King done for both AD carries. And considering this isn't the on-hit Varus, this is going to be the Varus that starts off, or this isn't the poke Varus that starts off with the on-hit with Blade of the Ruined King, scales into crit, Ruinance Hurricane, Infinity Edge, yada yada. It will be very, very powerful in team fights later on. It just has to get there.
As long as you can actually get the time to auto, right? You know, potentially you're going to have an Akali who's super fed, diving in on you with a Zillion Bomb on her head that is going to detonate into another couple hundred damage. That is really, really frightening and very difficult to survive. When Doublelift has no MR whatsoever, you know, it's going to be up mostly to Core JJ to really use a perfectly timed Devour and keep him safe.
I like how you use a couple hundred damage, and at this point, with having pretty much 2 items, Bjergsen's bombs are already doing 500 damage each, so that's a 1k burst. If you get hit by both of them, that is scary.
Yeah, and certainly reduced by the magic resist, you know, maybe more like 600 or something around there, but it's a lot of damage.
It hurts.
When you are this marksman who's only sitting at 1200 health, you know, that plus an Akali means you're instantly dead, right? You know, don't worry about the Fed Lucian, don't worry about, you know, even this Kindred. That'll be enough in and of itself, and you could have Broken Blade now with the Morellonomicon. Vladimir is in a no-fun zone.
All right, he got his Proto Belt at least. He's got an item. That's pretty good. As Smithy will go after Broken Blade here. Gets the electrocute damage, but Broken Blade safely gets himself away. It's a 4-man push on the top side from Team Liquid to take down the Tier 1 turret, but TSM will respond by taking one in kind in bottom lane.
I think this is smart, though, from TL. You're losing top side, you're losing bot side. Just lane swap and try to trade turrets, right? And that's basically what they're going for here. You don't want the Varus matching up against Lucian, who's already on 2 items. You certainly don't want Impact laning against Broken Blade when he's been getting slammed. So they are going to try to trade those turrets, but Bjergsen, you know, making it an unfair trade as he grabs the mid lane outer himself.
Cadian working on picking up this Cloud Drake here for the side of TSM. As Broken Blade's looking for some damage on the double. If Core JJ gobbles him up to safety, but Broken Blade might be able to go back in. There you go. There's the Akali with the bomb. The damage goes through. Broken Blade going to be in some trouble.
Here comes
the Zillion ultimate on him. They're waiting for that one to wear away. Impact does not want to pop him and allow him to get the heal. Goes in and grabs the kill. Impact's revenge finds its way in as Jensen grabs himself a kill to Bjergsen, and Team Liquid is right back in the fight. Xmithy and Impact will try to disengage in the top side. Sven lets loose the calling as Xmithy heads for the hills.
Yeah, they're going to keep going, though. They're trying to take down Smithy. I think he will survive this. The Honey Fruit is there. The last tick of Ignite does not get him. A couple shutdowns going the way of Liquid. They are not going to go quietly into the night on this one. They are fighting back, and Broken Blade perhaps overreaching here, as he has done at times, going in for the 1v2. Perfectly timed Devour there from Core JJ, but then Broken Blade, no Shroud now available, takes the long ride in, just barely can't take down Doublelift. Impact TPing in, waits out the Zillion ultimate, does get the first kill. Was a close affair, though, as Smoothie gets in between, and Impact has to commit the flash to do it. Then Jensen going forward onto Bjergsen, gets the shutdown there, and TSM just barely not able to trade back on Smithy, so a couple shutdowns going the way of TL. Critically on their solo lane carries, that is somewhere where they sorely needed that gold, and now Jensen at 234 CS at 21.5 into the game, gets a shutdown as well. He's on 2 items with Sork Boots too.
Jensen with a 300 gold lead over his lane opponent right now. Most of that can be summed up with the CS advantage he built for himself, but Team Liquid still down about 3,000 gold overall. They've shown they can respond. They've shown they can strike back, but they have to continue it now. We need consistency from the side of Team Liquid if they're to make their way back into this game.
And we need some patience and poise from TSM because they had been running this game from the start, right? And you don't want to just get too excited and overextend on a play like that. They did not have vision on where Smithy was. And it would have been an incredible play if Broken Blade pulls it off, but does he need to even go for it when he's in such a powerful position already?
Broken Blade and TSM now contemplating their next move. We are 22 minutes into the game, means Baron is alive, and you can see TSM in that northern part of the river. Control wards being placed down all over the place at the entrance to the jungle of Team Liquid. TSM wants to make sure this part of the map is dark as night, and Team Liquid always has to be scratching their head wondering, are they on it? Are they going to try to do it? How soon do we have to walk up here and face check this?
Yeah, and that's why they have 2 blue trinkets already. They are certainly going to have to fight for this vision very, very heavily. We'll see how well they can maintain as Smithy in the area. He is tank, so it does make it a little bit easier, to have that additional durability and try to come in and clear this out. They're getting rid of most of TSM's pinks in the area.
Worth noting that while Smithy is going for a tanky build, it's Cinderhulk into a Kindle Gem that I can only assume is going to become a Knight's Vow.
Very likely.
It is only health and the magic resistance from Mercury Treads on this Jarvan right now. You are up against a Kindred that built a Blood Razor and a Lucian with Blade of the Ruined King. He will melt if TSM has firing time.
He certainly will, so it's going to be about picking your moment, being very careful and deliberate about those engagements.
Here comes that firing time we're talking about. Broken Blade coming in from behind, drops down the Shroud. Impact not able to make his way into the fight. Double Authority going to be killed off. More damage coming through. TSM going to be routing everybody as Core JJ is going to fall down next. The bomb strapped to his head, and he is dead. Bjergsen makes sure that one's going to be a 3-for-0 for the side of TSM.
Broken Blade atoning for his earlier sins. Gets the beautiful flank, and they could get Impact here
Impact,
too.
what are you doing, man? 1 versus 5 is not the kind of fight you want to win.
Impact really overreaching there, trying to get something back. TSM will claim a Baron here, heading straight for it. I don't think that Liquid can get here in time.
Look at all these zombie wards hanging out in the area. Team Liquid just now respawning, trying to wash the black and white off their screens as Team Liquid will take down this, well, not Team Liquid, excuse me, Team Liquid just respawning. TSM will take down this Baron. I had to talk about Team Liquid dying so much in the last fight, still had the name on my tongue, but it's TSM, the ones who are popping off. TSM, the ones who get themselves a Baron just 24 minutes in, and TSM that made this happen.
Yeah, and look at this engage. Broken Blade coming in from behind, Acadian pressuring Jensen on the side. Core JJ has a good Devour, but they're just camping, waiting until Doublelift will come out of Core JJ's belly, and they knock him down so easily. Impact not able to get involved in the fight. He didn't have the flash available, so he couldn't flash over from the Raptor pit, and then this from Impact was certainly an overreach that did get him killed. TSM now gonna be pressing very heavily, trying to extend this lead. They have an early Baron buff. They're already 6K ahead. And with the winning side lane, you have to feel like that's the potential to knock down at least these outers.
And I mean, you've got the Rage Blade up for Doublelift now, but look across the board. Look at Sven. He's got the Black Cleaver as well as the Rapid Fire Cannon now on this Lucian. He's transitioning into more mid-late game damage, getting some crit, making sure that he's going to be hitting like a truck in these team fights. And with TSM having a 6,000 gold lead and 2.5 minutes left on this Baron power play, you're expecting this team to cash in, considering they still have all the tier 2s left to claim.
Yeah, you really are, and there is that first of those tier 2s that's going to be going down. You can see Bjergsen is pushing down in the bottom side of this map. He's shoving up all of these waves. They're trying to prepare to actually claim all of this standing gold on the map to make it a certain thing if they do get into one of these all-in fights. And so far it's this 3-man squad, double marksman as well as Smoothie sitting up here in this lane. Very safe 3-man squad when you consider the Braum Peel plus the Kindred ultimate. And Broken Blade almost just insta-killing Doublelift there. That wasn't even his ultimate second charge.
Ultimate's still available there from Broken Blade, but if you look at what's going on here as well for the side of TSM, I'm going to go ahead and check in with what I mentioned earlier. Acadian does have those 4 stacks on the Kindred, so he's very teamfight relevant at this point in time. Has the Hex Drinker working on the Blade of the Ruined King of his own. So much on-hit damage from the side of TSM as they'll continue pushing up the top side, pushing up that mid lane as well. You can see Bjergsen going down to catch the wave and enchant it with Baron buff in the bottom lane and make it so they're pounding this triple threat into the Team Liquid base for the entirety of the last minute of Baron.
Yeah, they have cleaned out all the outers, 6 turrets to 2 now. The gold lead extending even further here for TSM, but there's still a minute remaining, as you say. They have the potential to try to crack this turret as it is getting fairly low. Jensen is going to need some sort of a miracle shockwave, it feels like, to turn around these fights, as Doublelift is having so much trouble even getting involved, and Impact needs more time to scale.
Bjergsen rotating over to the mid lane to help Broken Blade out here, but the Akali's just never under any threat. The ability to throw down that Shroud and drop the aggro from everyone on the enemy team, there's just not enough damage on the side of Team Liquid to blow him up through it with AoE. TSM takes down the tier 3 in the top lane. They will continue pushing now. Inhibitor is their goal. Sven will chip away at this one with the auto attacks. Concussive blows applied into core JJ. Sven makes sure he gets off the last 2 autos, and the first inhibitor will fall. Broken Blade continues the pressure here in the mid lane. Impact tries to ward him away with the Tides of Blood, but TSM will not stop. Hemoplague dropped, but that's just not anything for Impact. He can't find what he's looking for. He'll barely keep the turret alive.
Critically, Jensen did just complete his death cap. That's what he was back in the fountain for. So certainly a shockwave has game-changing potential, but it needs to be something huge from TL to now gain control back in this game, as they are 8K behind. They have lost an inhibitor. TSM farming both sides of the jungle, and certainly looking like they are in full control.
And this is the exact thing you wanted to see if you were a TSM fan going into this game.
Yeah.
This is the last time that you're going to see TSM play in the regular season. For both these teams, this is your last chance to say, hey, we're the guys to look out for going into the playoffs. Because it was always TSM, TL, C9. Everybody was talking about who's going to be the edge, who's going to have that extra bit of an advantage. And for a long time, people were saying, yeah, it's those 3, but Team Liquid's really the solid #1. This is not looking to tell that story.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, for TSM, if you win this game, you are going into playoffs. Yes, you do not get that bye, but everyone will be terrified of matching up against this team who has been on such a tear down the stretch in this split. 2-0 over TL to boot.
And remember, with the way playoff seeding works now, 3rd place 6th, 4th place 5th, but then 1st seed gets their choice of whoever they want to play from those winners. And I guarantee you, Isaac, Team Liquid will want nothing to do if TSM wins their quarterfinal.
Definitely would not, but still a long way to go to get there. And we'll see if TL has anything to say about this game itself. Can they turn this around? Doublelift is now on 3 items. Again, I've ported out those big 3 coming through for Jensen as well. And he's working towards that Void Staff likely as the 4th. They have an incredibly powerful team fight. Deathcap coming through on Impact now too. So a lot of the core components are there for that miracle team fight, but the execution is going to be very difficult. And we'll see if TL can find the way into that fight, because if you're just trying to charge through Zillion Bombs, charge into Acadian, who has the Lamb's Respite ready, it's going to be very difficult to make good on all of this gold you have picked up and all of the power that these champions have at this stage in the game.
Impact is a lower level than Acadian. TSM's jungler level 16.
Yeah.
At least 2 above everybody on the side of Team Liquid except for Jensen. That's just one small demonstrator of the advantage TSM has this game.
It is so rare to see junglers keep up with solo laners in experience in pro play these days. He has 210 CS. That is ridiculous. He has more farm than the Vladimir does. That is certainly a rare sight to see in pro play. So Acadian is monstrously strong. You have to give him that respect on the Kindred. He's another big threat from the marksman role.
Bomb ticks down on Xmithy, takes a decent chunk out of his health right there.
There's no way.
And with Xmithy taken down to half HP and Bjergsen zoning everybody away, Blue Trinket's unfortunately not coordinated there from the side of Team Liquid either.
God.
Doublelift takes 2 bombs. That's what that was. His health is 2/3 of the way gone, and Team Liquid has no chance to contest Baron #2.
There's just almost no way to walk through that corridor. The bombs take up the whole corridor. Zillion is zoning you, and you have 2 Blade of the Rune King marksmen working on that Baron, shredding through it. TSM get the Baron buff. They have the lead. 1 inhibitor already down. This is where they are looking to close out the game.
That mid lane inhibitor turret was down to 1 hit earlier. It did have the chance to regenerate a little bit. Bjergsen will be forced to flash away there. Was caught out in the mid lane, but that does mean there's no Cataclysm available here for the Jarvan now. Sven putting down the Culling, looking to do some damage to the double lift health bar. D-lift down to about half HP there. CoreJJ also had to pop his Locket of the Iron Solari. Broken Blade in bottom lane, trying to pressure onto the tier 3. Impact looking to fight him here, but still not a very close fight, even with the turret advantage. Acadian and the rest of TSM pushing onto the mid lane inhibitor, just waiting to chip this one away. Use that Baron buff, that powered up cannon minion there will continue applying the damage even if nobody else can get in range. Chains flung out, Doublelift trying to find anything here, but Team Liquid just does not see the opportunity to go in. Remember, even if you do, you still have to get through Zillion ult, you still have to get through Kindred ult, and Team Liquid now stares down the barrel of losing both Nexus turrets. Bombs thrown down, Nexus turret number 1 taking some fire, super minions marching into the enemy base. Sven and Broken Blade into the bottom lane, looking to make something happen, maybe now onto Impact. Hemoplague already used, 2 cannon minions firing away at these Nexus turrets. Team Liquid decides to go in, they're looking for Smoothie, but Xmithy's gonna be taken down. The stun will guarantee it, as Team Liquid has to head for the hills. They'll run away, they'll try to disengage. Impact will hold the line, but for how long?
That'll do it.
This protects him for only a moment, as he now has to retreat as well. TSM has only 1 Nexus turret to go, and the Nexus is now exposed. Doublelift will be taken to safety, but this will surely end poorly for Team Liquid. Impact tries to get himself something. The Shockwave finds nothing. Doublelift goes down, and TSM will 2-0 Team Liquid in the regular spring split.
Going into playoffs in dominant form, TSM taking down TL. The question has to be asked, seeds be damned, who is the playoff favorite now?
Not even just taking down TL, but taking them down in style. Impact versus Broken Blade was not close.
Broken Blade dominated up on that top side, getting some early help from Acadian, but looking so strong on the Akali. Certainly impressive performances across the board here from TSM, as this was a dominant game. There was one little surge for TL where they got a couple kills after that overextension from Broken Blade, but that was it. This was a clean closeout here, and TL now has to walk into playoffs losing 3 straight and waiting a couple weeks to find out who their opponent will be. It's gonna be a bit of an uphill battle for them, you have to think.
It makes it rough. There's a lot, it does give them a lot of time to prepare, to try to mentally reset, get themselves ready to participate in the semifinals. But for TSM, when you end your regular split, having the single best record in the second half of the round, in the second round robin, excuse me, taking down Team Liquid now both times, the only team to have a winning record against the #1 seed throughout the regular season. You have got to feel damn good going into these quarterfinals.
Yeah, they have got to be feeling so good, but they need to also remember what they have learned from the last year to never get overconfident, because at times, you know, they had an incredible record down the stretch last year, but were not able to make it happen in playoffs. So we'll see if this version of TSM has that poise when it matters most and they are in that playoffs.
Well, they seem like they have found their stride for now, and for more on that win, Avli is standing by with an interview. Take it away.
Thanks, Flowers. Bjergsen, congratulations on that game against Team Liquid. And what a game it was for you guys. You completely dominated against them, and now you have the winning record of 2-0 over them. So what was this game like for you?
I think this game, it felt better than the previous win against TL because we didn't win just based on having this counter pick and playing through it, and then, you know, first picking Yorick. This game, I felt like we had just more of a standard draft, and we played really standard, and we made good plays. We had a lot of good plays around top, sitting BB up to be really fed, and we had my TP behind their ball lane, and I felt like that kind of broke us out of the early game, and we pretty much played the C9 Jensen Blauerfish team comp from last split, and as everyone knows, the team comp was really OP later in the game. So as soon as we made it out of early game, I knew we were going to win.
So as we move into playoffs in the next week, kind of looking at the performance of the main teams, who's a bigger threat to you now, Cloud9 or Team Liquid?
I'm not sure, because I think TL will play better in playoffs than they have now. It's hard to kind of stay on top and keep playing when these games don't really matter for them. They already secured the bye, they're secured first. And I know they know that they're in a slump and they're going to work their asses off to get out of this slump. So I don't know. We'll see who has the better playoffs form between the two teams.
They have an extra week to do it, but you mentioned him before, and I love to talk to you about him. I want to ask you about Broken Blade, because it's so sweet seeing the relationship between you two. So what can you tell me about the hard work that he's put in this split, as well as his growth with the team?
I mean, he's had a lot of growth, but also he had just a really good baseline. He came in with a ton of confidence, willing to play, you know, any champion. He's like, I can play the most whack counters against anything that they could possibly pick, but Akali is one of his core champions, so I'm happy he pulled it out and had such a good game today.
Well, Bjergsen, thank you, and congratulations again. And that's it for us here. For more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. TSM, the only team in the LCS